Welcome, world. My name is Aaron Robey, and this is my boy Adrian Provost, and this is our first episode of our podcast.
The PowerList.
The PowerList. The fucking PowerList.
Yes.
So for episode 1, what we're doing, we was basically trying to figure out what would be a good topic, and we have figured out that we wanted to talk about the 10 things that poor people do that rich people don't. Now, it's a very detailed list of a lot of. It's going to seem hypocritical, but I've done.
Shit is very hypocritical.
I've done shit on this list I've done a lot of shit on this list where it's going to sound like fuck. I'm talking about my damn self. Really, I probably done all this shit.
I know I've been on both sides of this coin. It's probably of the 10 things that poor people do that rich people don't. I probably found myself doing 10 of them motherfuckers.
I probably done 12 of them.
You know
I've done all 12.
Just to be 100% honest.
Absolutely.
But I've also seen myself on the other side of the coin where if we were to flip it and we showcase what rich people do that poor people don't do, I'll probably find myself doing 10 out of 10 of those things as well.
Absolutely.
You know, but again, that shit didn't happen until my whole mind shifted. You know what I'm saying? And I elevated the way that I began to think.
Someone always, how this shit works, someone always puts you in a position where it changed your way of thinking. And because every part of this list, we have both done stupid shit. We have both bought shit we shouldn't have done. We have both wasted money.
Man, we could do a whole fucking podcast
on the stupid shit. The amount of cash I
done
spent on dumb shit, from shoes to tattoos, just buying stupid shit.
Yeah, the list will go on and on.
So let's jump into...
Please, because you got me reminiscing about shit.
Let's jump into this shit. Throw one out there.
You know, read. I think that one thing that poor people don't do that rich people do is read. I don't think they read enough. Now,
poor people read, but what they do read is...
Nah. So again, reading the fucking highlights, or what's it called? Reading the title underneath the World Star video you're about to watch doesn't classify.
It does not classify as reading.
That's not reading.
Like reading. Now, honestly, I don't read too many books. And I shouldn't say that, but I really do. I need to actually read more.
No, I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying, you know, we want to be honest with the people. I read a ton of books, but 95% of the books that I consume come in the form of an audiobook. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, I mean, and it does the same thing. Honestly, the audiobooks
you can understand
more.
It better. Right.
You know? I think it's per person.
Correct. Me, I find myself, if I read too much of something that I'm not interested in, I start drifting. And my drifting always drifting to what's the fastest car out there. But honestly, I find myself reading a lot of articles. I'll be on CNN, which is not the best source of news, but it will keep you updated on certain things going on in the world today. I like CNET. Rob Report, you put me on to that. I love technology. I love opulence. I love dope shit, fast cars. That's what men like.
Hell yeah. Man, I read all kind of shit. I like stuff like habits, like what habits do millionaires have, right? What do certain individuals spend their time and money on? How to stimulate my creativity, you know? So I read all kind of shit, man. Anything from, and I write too, so I write all kind of shit,
right?
You know, so it's like I might go.
That actually help you more when you read it and you understand it and you can process it and actually put it down on paper.
Dude.
It's a different kind of understanding. Actually, someone actually told me that when you read something, write it down also. It's going to take twice as long, but it shows you comprehend everything that you put in your head at that time.
You know, there's a saying, I don't know what the saying is, but essentially, if you teach something, you learn more as you teach and as you're instructing than if you just read that shit.
That's why we all hate our fucking teachers, because these motherfuckers know everything. You know everything. Like, man, shut the fuck up, yo. Like, I don't want to hear that right now. But honestly, they know so much because they're researching and they're teaching us at the same time, which is the best form of learning. Exactly.
You know, and if they great, they're perfecting their craft. I think that's something. I mean, obviously that'd veer off of this topic a little bit, but I think that's one thing too that rich people do that poor people don't. And you know, I mean, I know the title is some shit like the opposite of that, but who gives a fuck? Like, it's all intertwined, right?
It is.
The things that rich people do that poor people don't, and vice versa, is all one thing. You know what I mean? It's just flipping the fucking coin over.
Right.
So I say that to say that rich people put a lot of time and energy into figuring out what am I great at. And they hone that fucking skill. They sharpen that iron and they go forward with it, and they become excellent in that arena. You know what I'm saying? Now the smarter ones, they'll take that excellence and then they'll venture off the capital that they're making from that arena and start putting that money out into different investments and letting those investments work for them and start making more money off of that $1 that they put there, that $1 they put there, that $1 put there. That shit turns into 100 over a span of time.
Absolutely right.
In each scenario. So you got 100 from that one, 100 from that one, 100 from that one.
It just keep multiplying.
You know what I mean? And a lot of poor people don't see that.
They don't see that.
They see that dollar now and they like, man, I can go buy 4 things that's worth a quarter a piece. You know what I'm saying? Completely different mindset.
It is. And when you read for self-help, it's a big difference from reading for entertainment. Like I understand reading books like fiction. I mean, it's cool to stimulate your mind, but actually to help you, I would say self-help is always the way to go. Whether it is know what to eat, whether it is helping your finances, whether it is
all that, knowing what to think, knowing what to think about. Like part of why our community specifically is so fucked up is because we don't even know which questions to ask. You know what I'm saying? So how the hell we gonna get there? We don't even know that shit exists.
If you gotta Google what to ask somebody, if you're around somebody that's making real cash and you don't know what the fuck to ask them, you need to go back home. You know, go back to sleep because you weren't ready for that conversation.
You know, but again, that's part of why people are poor though, because they don't even know where to begin. You know what I'm saying? It's like and to your point, like that fantasy world, right? In a book form,
and it's huge. It's a big industry.
Part of the reason why I started to look into that shit, honestly, was simply because I'm looking at what's the top grossing books of all time, what's the top grossing movies of all time. These motherfuckers they want to be elsewhere. They want that fantasy shit. They want that Star Wars. They want that Avatar. They want that kind of shit. So again, to your point, you know, if I'm looking to find ways to become a millionaire, I'm not wasting my time reading those books unless I'm writing those books and I'm looking for guidance. You know what I'm saying? And ideas and inspiration on how do I craft my book that consists of fantasy so I can become a millionaire.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, but again, yeah, you definitely, again, I will say this though. If you're reading a book and you're getting lost in a fantasy world reading a book, I would much rather encourage that though than watching fucking. I don't want to say
you don't want to get lost in a book.
TV shows.
Getting lost in a book is going to have you treating that book as your real life, and a lot of that fantasy shit will. I've been around people where they read books or they watch certain things and they replicate their life off that shit. I'm like, shut the fuck up. This is a fucking fantasy. It's not real life.
But I mean. But is it their real life? Because again, and
it's not their real life.
But I mean, you say that.
It's the author's life.
But look at Instagram. Who's the author of Instagram? And how real versus fantasy is that shit?
It's the same thing.
That's my point.
It's the same fucking thing.
So it's like we come from an era before that shit.
Right.
So when you are in this era, right, like my nephews, for example, you know, they 18 and shit now. So it's like you come from an era where all they've known from beginning is Instagram and social media and shit. Yeah. It's like that virtual reality becomes part of your reality.
But there are some people that started in that era and took it over, whereas they wanted to be the controlling factor of the shit they put out to have people following them. Now those are the people that always want to get rich because they are looking at it not for entertainment but as for growth, where they can take this information, they can take that platform. All the shit is a constant camera. You have a 24-hour TV network on yourself. If you use that shit to air out, my girlfriend's pissed me off. No, everybody want to see it. They'll give you pity, but how's that going to help you? How's that going to help your fight? It's not.
And speaking of which, that shit, it goes back to get back on track of the list. It goes back to a mindset, right? So it's like poor people, they don't have a mindset of abundance, right? They have a mindset of scarcity. You know what I mean? They're not thinking of the world is my oyster. They thinking more so, I got to get every little crumb I can. You know what I'm saying? And it's like once you understand that there's an abundance of every fucking thing on this earth, and there is not a shortage, a limit on anything except what you put on your mind. Like you can go and get it. And part of the reason why people stay poor is because they don't think that it's the truth. They don't think that they can actually attain that, whatever that is.
And true, I've been around people that think that, oh, I don't want money. It's too much responsibility. It's too much responsibility to have money. And I understand what they're saying. I don't understand, but I do understand because they're scared of, oh, they got more people asking for money. They got more responsibilities balancing that money, more responsibilities as they got to work more to get it and maintain it. But isn't that the goal of living, is to not be stagnant in your life? You want to keep growing.
Yeah.
And it gets to a point where, honestly, we were way off topic, but it gets to a point.
We varying, we knit that motherfucker together somehow. But I mean, we on topic. Because to your point though, damn, I forgot what the point was. Keep on.
No, but what I'm saying is, it gets to a point where you can be happy with being basic. Yeah. In which a lot of people fall in that category, and I've definitely felt that category, not necessarily being basic, but fall in the category of being stagnant. Everybody can get stagnant. You just have to get yourself out that shit.
Dude, let me tell you, you can be at the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, and anywhere in between that motherfucker, you can find yourself being stagnant. You know
Absolutely.
What I'm saying? And you could be a strong-willed individual, or you can be the weakest motherfucker on earth. But it's like you have to be able to overcome that shit. That's for sure. Because again, you could let's say you get out the mode of being poor, and for whatever reason you was able to come into some money. You know what I'm saying? I won't name any names, but you know, let's just a random NBA player, for example, right? So random NBA player never had shit, finally come into some shit, and then they get stagnant. Right? Because again, we talking poor versus rich. We're not talking about how much money you got right now to spend on one thing. Right? It's a mentality. And so it's like, again, a lot of them NBA players or whomever, they do fall into that money, but they have that same fucking mentality.
The mentality has not changed them, right? You know I mean, when you have $10 million and in 6 years you're bankrupt.
Dude, I heard a story today, and again, I'm not gonna name no names. I know they want it. But I ain't gonna say no names. But I heard it on ESPN radio. You know what I mean? So it's not like it's a secret. But these motherfuckers supposedly robbed. Some NFL motherfuckers supposedly robbed. So, and again, I don't know the situation. I don't know if they was playing dice, whatever. And you know, motherfuckers is like, man, I ain't finna give you no check, nigga. Fuck you.
I seen and they they robbed the cat. Like, what are you thinking?
So, and again, I didn't even see the details. I just heard of it. I heard a little bit of it because, you know, again, I be into my audiobooks. Right. So the only reason why I'm listening to it is because my damn Bluetooth ain't connect to my damn the Jag yet. So I'm like just sitting there waiting, and then this shit connects. And I'm like, okay, but I'm listening. I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't even want to dive into it. It's like, bro,
it's so stupid. Where you kind of want to know, what were you thinking?
Either what were you thinking, or is it like that already? Is it like that already? Where you already hurting to the point where
no.
I mean, bro, you never know. This is what I'm saying. I used to
saying hurting that bad.
You
ain't hurting.
Dude. All right. Quick story. When I used to own the Atlanta Aliens basketball team. Right. All right. This is during the NBA lockout. Right. When I the first year.
I remember.
NBA lockout. Right. And I forgot how many, like, this is when Kobe, rest in peace, was still alive. This is when LeBron was at the top of his game, but Kobe was still playing. It was a bunch of people playing, right? And we had this private equity fund come to me, like, hey, and it was me and the top 10 owners of the ABA teams. Right. And they like, we're going to inject the league with $100 million worth of cash. We're going to give each team $10 million. Both of y'all, every team get two superstars, and then y'all fill the rest out with whoever, you know, top tier players, bottom, whoever. Right. We don't care. They wanted Kobe, they wanted LeBron, and just to come play a month or two while the NBA lockout shit is going. Dude, do you know how many people was ready to sign that fucking collective bargaining agreement because they was already out of checks? They was already out of money. The season just stopped.
You gotta realize.
And some of these fools been playing 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and they already like,
they live check the check.
Man, I love you, dog, but man, I gotta get that check. Man, I can't. It's like, dude, you already hurting like that. So my point being that you don't know. I would like to think that my brothers are straight, and it's just some some glitch where they fucked around and did something, put themselves in a bad situation. They wasn't thinking it through, or it could just be they hurting already.
It's hurting because of the lifestyle. If you got 3 baby mamas, you got 6 cars, you got 2 houses,
and how many investments? That's you see what I'm saying? Like, again, going back into our topics, the smart way around it is you get that $1 million check, right? You get that $1 million signing bonus, right?
Right.
Put 100 away if you need it. Put 100 away to do what you're gonna do with. Put 900,000 into investments that's gonna make you money. Specifically, shit like a multifamily investment, for example, where you can go and purchase it and then have, let's say you buy a 30 unit, right? A class B, right? In a decent neighborhood, a class A- or A neighborhood, and you got a class B asset, 20 units, 30 units. These people paying they rent every single month, no delinquencies. You know what I'm saying? You got an extra check coming in from that one apartment building every single month off of that one time.
You know why this shit don't work? It's not fun. It's not pretty. It's not cool.
But again,
because when you got $10 million, I understand me and us, but if I had $10 million and I was playing in the league and I'm 19 years old, the furthest thing from my mind is investing.
That's because
you never had the money,
and that's
now you got it, and your mindset changed,
and
you become rich overnight.
You got
in your pockets and in your brain.
You have the wrong team around you, and when I say that your inner circle, I say that your actual professional basketball or football or soccer team that's paying you. Because if you don't, and I don't care, I know they have all of these different tools and resources for these professional athletes that a lot of people don't use.
They tell you don't. They're telling you how to spend your cash.
But telling you is one thing. You got to show these people. If and again, I don't want to use no names. If I own the Atlanta Falcons, right? And again, I believe Arthur Blank probably do this. But if I own the Atlanta Falcons or I own the LA Dodgers or whoever I own, right? If I have a young 19-year-old that's coming to the league that never had nothing, the first thing I'm doing is sitting him down in a meeting with me and my financial advisor.
I guarantee they do that already.
No. They might say, here's the number to my financial advisor.
I don't think that. I think they sit in these goddamn rooms and tell them.
They probably
giving you.
Again, they probably have courses that they go through, right? They probably have all kind of shit that I'm not even privy to understanding that they have set up for these guys, and these guys still fuck it up. But my point is, seriously. At some point you have to, as us, not as the owner of the league. Because again, as the owner of the team or the owner of the league, I'm going to sit you down with my, not a financial advisor I heard of or not somebody that I know of, the guy that handles my money. Right. It tells me where I should and shouldn't place my money. The same dude that, I just cut $1 million check to go invest or oversee my investments, right? That guy is sitting with my star player that I'm about to invest $10 million in, and we gonna walk through. And guess what? And again, I know I'm a billionaire at this point, so it's like I can't come to his house and check on him if he Michael Vick. You know what I mean? I don't want him fighting dogs and shit. You know what I mean? It's like, but if that's not the case, I'm with you, bro. You should never feel like, no matter where you come from, that should even be an option. You see what I'm saying?
It should not be an option. But first thing like this. A lot of times, if I did not grow up with you, you're not going to be that close to me around my money. Now, it may be in my best interest. I don't know you, but you're around me telling me to do my own money.
Dude.
And it's an ego thing, but honestly...
I get it. So, that's when you manipulate the situation. And what I mean by that is, so again, with the music company, for example, I got some artists that I work with, and they're talented, but they gonna fall into some money. They don't know what the fuck they doing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I already got funds set up for them in some of my multifamily investments, completely outside of music, right? That they gonna get paid forever. Whether they like it or not.
Look at Iverson.
Whether they like it or not. You see what I'm saying? That's my point.
Right.
I take them out of the equation. It's like, you not gonna go broke under my watch. You're not going broke under my watch.
I don't know who made Iverson sign that shoe deal. Where it's the lifetime deal, but whoever did it did him good.
Okay.
Whoever did.
I remember hearing some shit about that some years ago, but I don't recall.
It's money. He's not going to be able to touch until he's a certain age.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Until we get to that certain age, he could be broke as hell until that time, but he's going to get paid for the rest of his life through that deal. Like, it's something where...
And that's what I'm saying, man. Like, there's ways around allowing these individuals, and again, I say allow, when it's their money, right? They're going broke themselves.
Correct.
But again, I feel like, and we're way off topic right now, but I feel like you got to take some, and this is coming from somebody who used to own a professional basketball team that I used to pay players to go play basketball. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, you, at some point, you have, but one thing, again, with them, for example, I created an opportunity for them to go in and make some money outside of that situation. So outside of the...
Did they all listen?
No, but not all of them wasn't getting paid either because it was on some semi-pro shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like, they definitely didn't all listen, but the ones that did listen, they still doing that shit to this day.
Absolutely.
And they still get money to this day. You see what I'm saying?
Other cats sick.
You see what I'm saying?
Right, I feel you.
So again, it definitely comes down to the individual.
It comes to a mindset, right.
But at the end of the day,
it kind of, right?
It's about an abundance, right? It's an abundance mindset. Because again, you spending that shit like that. You spending it like that because you never had it. And you
and
don't
your
know.
teammates ain't helping
like, of course not.
Because they got the biggest and the baddest. You got to realize they might already have investments. They don't.
Exactly.
You don't know. But the only thing you see is the lamb.
Yep.
You see the rose.
Yep.
You see the stars in the roof of the rose, and you want it. And next thing you know, 2 years from now, you got that rose. Mm-hmm. They got a new rose.
Yep.
Because they can afford it.
Yep. But what they don't understand is you bought your rose with your rookie salary money.
And you cashed out.
I bought my rose from residual money that I got from investments that I made 4 years ago.
Different story, y'all.
I didn't even touch my salary this year.
Didn't touch it.
I'm not going to touch my salary. I haven't touched my salary in the past 3 years. All of my money rolls into more investments because I got $5 million liquid. You know what I'm saying? I got 20 apartment buildings. You see what I'm saying? All of this money is coming in. I don't got to worry about it. Now I can go play and have my fashion line. And if it fails, it fails because I got money.
Right.
Who gives a fuck?
I got 8 different sources coming in all different ways.
Oh, you want to do your restaurant shit? Now you can do your restaurant. Don't go do your restaurant shit with your motherfucking money that you just got paid from the NFL with.
Or I will say do the restaurant shit and buy a damn wash or a car.
That's well, yeah, no, absolutely. But my point is, I'm talking about residual investments that you hands off. Now again, a lot of people want to jump into the restaurant shit, the club thing because it's sexy. You see what I'm saying? They're not really looking about the money. They just want to say that they own a restaurant. Of course, they want the money too.
They want the money,
but it's like that's one of those. That's a huge risk if you're not dealing with a team that's already doing that.
You got to know what you're doing in the restaurant.
Yeah, you feel me?
Like you said, the team has to be on. It has.
If you just a money man, just be the money man. Had a team though. You see what I'm saying? You can't be the money man thinking that you're gonna be running a restaurant when you never ran a restaurant a day in your life. You know what I'm saying? You can have the dopest concept in the world. In the best location.
You gotta leave somebody that actually knows what the hell they doing. Y'all.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna get ate up.
You're gonna get towed up, and the food's gonna be shit. Dude. You might think it's good, and I've seen
all sorts of scenarios. I've seen
scenarios where you might not get checked, but
so yeah,
your customer's gonna check you.
Yeah, for sure.
And that kind of rolls into the next topic of poor people watch way too much TV, and what we were saying is. We were talking about sports and all these athletes.
Too much television.
I know a lot of cats that spend their life. I ain't gonna say spend their life, but they might watch a game and the next day, the next 3 hours of the day is talking about a game or a series of games.
But motherfuckers be spending their life on that shit.
And I understand it, but it consumes so much of your mental thinking. It consumes your ability to think about other shit because you're waiting at 7 o'clock to watch this game. So basically your brain stops at about 4:30 because you know this game, you got to prepare for the game, you got to cook before the game, you got to get showered, you got to get comfortable. The game's going to last 2.5 hours. You just spent 6 hours getting ready for this damn game. Then you're going to spend another 2 hours talking about it next day on social media. Like, get out, get the fuck out of here.
And a large portion that we missing too, a lot of those individuals, think about it, not all of them, but most of them, they play sports too. And most of those individuals are not professional athletes. So what I'm saying is, I'm all for fitness and all of that shit. Absolutely. But think about how consumed our society is with entertainment, specifically sports, right? Think about how many man hours went into how many partners you got that played football with you in high school or some shit, or played basketball with you in middle school or some shit.
Right.
And think about how much in AAU, in this, and think about how much time and effort a lot of us put into that shit. That what if we was actually working on some shit that mattered? Because again, I don't know what the statistics are, but how many motherfuckers gonna make it to the NBA?
But no, different. Now, while you're playing it, I understand because you're working toward the bigger picture. But once you stop, once you have a 9 to 5 and you still giving 4 hours to something that you're watching on TV,
I agree.
It's a fucking problem.
I agree. But even again, to add on to that point, think about the youth, the amount of hours in youth. Right? And then think about the amount of hours in before you become an adult. And let's say you play in college.
Right.
Right? You go all the way to college and then you want to make it to pros, but you never make it to pro. Right? And so think about all of the hours, the man hours wasted. And I don't give a fuck. I love sports.
I can't say it's wasted.
Nah,
though.
dude, it's wasted.
I cannot say it's wasted.
You show me a motherfucker that should have been Michael Jordan. I could name 20 of them that went to school with me in Monday's Mill and Lovejoy and Georgia Southern and so on and so forth. That if that same individual would have put in his mind into anything that let's say that motherfucker was he was the best artist that you know. He was always drawing shoes in school, right? Or whatever, like I was, for example. You know, but I was always in the music as well. I was always in the sports, so I was never focused on one thing. But let's say I took, you know, that drive that I had for shoes and started creating my own shit, and I had the wherewithal to be able to understand that I can start building a business